What is the weirdest status symbol you know of that only makes sense in a very specific subculture? Possessing a current daily newspaper. My family has sailed for decades out of the same remote Great Lakes town. There is one shop that sells one stack of newspapers from a major metropolitan area. If you want one, you haul ass at ass o'clock in the morning a mile uphill. Sometimes having to race others. The internet is a thing there now. But Wi-Fi is spotty as well as cell service. So physical news is still important. Should you obtain a newspaper, you get the first right to read and are the only one who can cut or tear things out of it. You also get to decide if and who gets to read it after you. Maybe even in what order. If someone wants the coupons or the crossword, they have to do you a favor. For the people who've really made it in the tech industry, it's a weird status symbol to be a complete f-king slob about something. Some guys with a big fancy title make a point to wear dirty old white t-shirts riddled with holes because they can or not wear shoes or not trim their facial hair ever. Or some shitty like that. It's not uncommon to see some homeless looking guy hop into his Tesla at the Whole Foods. There used to be this joke on Google campus, where there are Google owned bicycles lying around for employees to use, that it was impossible to tell if you spotted a homeless guy stealing a bike or if it was a distinguished engineer going to a meeting. Fine China. It's an older generation thing that I just don't understand. Why would I want plates I can't eat off of? When I was a kid, our whole giant family room was full of white couches that we kids weren't allowed to sit on ever. So we had a tiny living room with 2 usable couches and TV jammed in there. We have a sunken living room that we aren't allowed to use because my mother is a clean freak and wants one room to not have to clean. I get it. But why even have the room or furnish it? It's for guests. We have a whole living room that no one used because my mother doesn't want anyone to sit or use the furniture there. It's only for guests. During the mid-19th century and on into the early 1900s, ancient Egypt was all the rage in England. This was thanks to a steady flow of interesting archaeological finds from the area. The legend of King Tut's curse, etc. Some call it England's Egyptomania phase. One crazy way you could show off how much money you had was to actually buy an ancient Egyptian mummy and have an unwrapping party. People would literally come over to your house, get drunk, and unwrap an ancient corpse in your living room. I'll stick to potlucks. Thank you. Edit. Well, RIP my inbox. Did not think this response would be so popular. Braces in Thailand. Many people keep their braces on for years in unwealthy countries to show they can afford it. That's what I heard. It's quite interesting, seeing as being from Canada I can't imagine anything worse for me personally. But I guess that changes person to person. My cousin seems actually very excited by the idea of getting braces. When I was around 8 or 9, I thought braces were cool because kids that were a few years older than me had them. Then I got braces. They became uncool to me by day 2. Calculators in the engineering field. The more vintager and functioning, the betterer. I inherited my dad's slide rule after he died. Fought my brother for it. 2. No regrets. Sorry for your loss. Your brother. That is. I assume you fought him to death. Raydun birdhouses. Raydun makes this really basic ass pottery that for some unknown reason people like to sell online for like quadruple the price they bought it for. The birdhouses are like the holy grail of this shitty, and the women who buy will fight each other over them. Spectral tiger mount. Unless you could afford to buy a whole box of cards to get the mount or got lucky, it's one of the rarest mounts in WoW. Professional violinists often have a callous hyperpigmented area of skin on the left side of their necks just under the chin due to the friction from constant practice. Getting to the violin hickey level was definitely a status symbol at the music school I went to before university because you only get it after 3-4 hours of practice per day. Owning a topper keyboard. Status only exists in mechanical keyboard circles. It's weird because it's rubber dome. I would say topper is too controversial to properly count. But I suppose that just makes it an even more specific subculture. I reckon that an IBM Model FM is a more universal status symbol in the mech keyboard sphere. Which is also quite weird because it means the general consensus is nobody's managed to make a better keyboard in over 30 years. Also it uses a membrane, which means it too is arguably not a true mech keyboard. Owning an Eleiko barbell. Or in a completely different field, having a battery grip and radio triggers for your DSLR. Edit for clarity. I love battery grips and use them on both of my cameras. I was just pointing out that they're a good indicator of someone who's heavily invested in the craft and therefore a sign of their status. Renaissance Fair handmade custom boots. Because mine got stolen and I'm still bitter. No, seriously. They're hundreds to thousands of dollars a pair. You get your foot put into a couple of pairs of athletic socks and they duct tape over that. Then cut along the outer seam to literally create the boots for you. They offer unlimited resoling. They give you the pattern to send to them when required. There is no other boot that is grippier on ice. And they just freaking rock. Bald Mountain made mine. I miss them so much. Edit. Thanks everyone for your comments and well wishes. Warlord class Titan from Forge World. It's cheaper to dress your kid up in a robot costume and have them stand real still on a game table than buy one of these resin monstrosities. Team Fortress 2 player here. I once unboxed, posted, and traded a Stormy Storm Dragonborn helmet, an in-game cosmetic hat you could equip to your heavy. 2 days after the hat was released. For $450 to buy groceries and pay the rent that month. It was the third key I'd ever bought. I never bought another one. And my wife, then girlfriend, still thinks I sold drugs or something to come up with the money that fast. It absolutely turned our year around. A 1986 Toyota Sprinter Truno. Normies just see a shitty 30-year-old Corolla with the driver on the wrong side. Nerdy car guys know that it's $12,000 of automotive icon. In the ultra-marathoning world, running races longer than the standard 26.2 miles. Running a 100-mile race in under 24 hours is a pretty big deal. A lot of these races even give out specialized versions of the Finisher's Award to anyone who goes sub 24. If you run the Houston Marathon 10 times, you get a special long sleeve t-shirt with 10 stripes down the sleeves. I've drooled over those shirts at the expo for years. I'm only at 5. But I actually think I'll run 5 more just for that damn shirt. Delaware has a thing about black license plates. A typical license plate will look like this. So there can only be 9 people in the state with a single digit plate. Right? Actually, only 6 people own a 1-digit tag. 1, 2, and 3 are reserved for the governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary of state, respectively. Therefore, only 4 through 9 are privately owned. Delaware does not use letters on license plates. Since a 6-digit number is more than adequate to create unique tags for every vehicle in the state. But there are letter designations like MC for motorcycle, C for commercial, etc. License plates are transferable. So there is a market for low-digit license plates. You can see some of the ones for sale on this website, http://lodigitags.com/29. HTML. My license plate is PC 9966, which is worth roughly the same amount of money as my 2004 Ford Focus. Very specific vintage watches. Something like a Hamilton spur. Only other watch collectors will know if that specific watch is valuable. Everyone else just sees an old watch. My father was given a watch from his father as a birthday gift when he was 16. His dad had just returned from a business trip to Switzerland and the watch was a relatively inexpensive watch model from a well-known Swiss brand, Omega. I think. My dad has worn this watch his whole life. Occasionally other men will approach him and start to talk about watches. They assume he is a collector. He's not. The watch he wears is the only one he owns. Turns out, it's a super rare color that was only for sale the summer my grandfather was in Switzerland. It sold very poorly at the time, but has become a big collector's piece now. A full keef tray. Most people just think you're some pothead. but other stoners recognize you as a paragon of patience and self-control. Oh man, I know so many dudes who refuse to touch their keef. Then they don't realize that smoking an entire bowl of it wastes more. It's meant to be sprinkled onto weed, not smoked by itself. This might be true, but the last time I saved it up I smoked 6 bowls of straight keef and I was very happy with my decision. And I'm definitely not arguing that you'll get super high. Just every time I see a cherry inside a keef bowl I get a little sad for how much is burning away. I like to layer it weed keef weed, that way what I'm burning up is the bud. Kickstarter edition board games for board gamers. It's not a huge like, OMG, you're so cool kind of thing. But there's definitely, like, a certain prestige to having a special limited edition board game from Kickstarter. Same thing with people buying replacement tea for the board games. Like, instead of the accessories that come with the game, they pay to upgrade them to get a higher quality. Superb here. There's a bit of bragging on I helped make this game happen with the Kickstarter exclusive stuff rather than the rarity. Cloth diapers. Seriously. There's collectors and retired or hard to find prints sell for a lot of money. I've sold some for over $100 but no friends who have gotten much more. So a stash shot of rare diapers is a status symbol with people who know the value. The White Lotus Pie showpiece. Gold edit. I seriously didn't expect this, guys. I love me some Atla memes and this thread has turned into one big one. Cling to the ancient ways, my friends. I see you favor the White Lotus gambit. Possibly different one, since it doesn't involve purchasing it in any way, but the work put in. Heavily worn heavyweight Shurido black belt. http www.thimarshalview.com WP content uploads /2014/11/old belt. JPG. In martial arts circles, they're somewhat expensive to buy, usually $50-60 bucks, and are a black thread woven around a white cotton inside. So as they wear, you see more white. And the only way for them to wear is by, well, wearing the belt. And they last decades, unless you get really fat and buy a new one like me. While typically the belt around your waist is just there to hold your pants up. When someone's wearing something that shows decades of wear, it starts to really mean something. At one point I owned 8 of the Power 9 Magic the Gathering cards. The only one I didn't have was a Mox Ruby, because I didn't play Red and had no use for it. They were all beta, and all but one had been professionally graded or in gradable condition. My Time Walk had somewhere from use. This is not at all impressive to 9,999% of the population. But to that 0.0001% it is really f-king impressive. That's a new car or down payment for a house if highly graded. I sold them in 2010 along with most of my other valuable cards during a money crunch. The Lotus alone went for over $3,500. The Recall and the Sapphire went for about $900 each. The rest of the Mox and my Walk went for $700, $800. And the Twister went for a little less than that. I have no idea what they'd be worth now. Anything Supreme. I know a kid that spent $200 plus bucks on a Supreme brick. For anybody not in the know. No. That isn't a slang term for a mysterious item. It's a f-king single clay brick with the Supreme logo stamped into it. What is Supreme? Is it a band or store? When you Google it, the Supremes come up. I'm guessing it's not them. Haha. It's some streetwear brand with overpriced stuff that for some reason is in crazy high demand. The resale value is stupid for a ton of their items. I.e. a singular brick that was originally probably like $30-50 bucks, already absurd, selling for over $200. Their shirts are probably like $50-100 each. I really don't care to look though, hahaha. Party hats. If you know what I am talking about, then you know how rare they are and how valuable they are in RuneScape. To put this in perspective, the rarest party hat is 17.5 billion gold as of today. If you bought that gold from an illegal gold selling website, it would cost $3,000.